In 2 words, Canadians first. All Canadians. That's our agenda. We have no strings attached. We're grassroots. We're non-establishment. Most of us are just common people, smart people, hardworking people who care about our people and country and want to do what's best for our country, and we do not like the direction of this country. And this has been going on for 50 years. Trudeau, Justin Trudeau, we dislike him. Some of us hate him. But we realize in the big scheme of things, he's just a front person of the LibCon establishment. That's all he is. He's the current front puppet. Nothing more, nothing less. Remember that. Next week, we're going to do a presentation on the LibCon establishment so you know specifically what we're referring to. And that's going to be a really interesting presentation. But today, we're going to talk about COVID-19, the coronavirus, and then we're going to talk about C-13, which took place on March 24th, 2020, which gave Trudeau, Justin Trudeau, 6 months unlimited, unchecked spending. 6 months, unlimited. We're going to go through it and show it to you. This is unbelievable. But first, we're going to set the stage with coronavirus and what's going on, all the fear-mongering. At NCA, we believe there's a severe disproportion between the impact of the actual data and how these establishment, political, and media puppets are responding to the coronavirus. And we're going to lay out the facts so you can see where we're coming from. We are fact-based, not fear-based. We don't think excessive fear is in the Canadians' people's best interest. So share your comments today. We will be responding to them and learning from you as well. But I'm going to get right into coronavirus. We support calmness over fear. We want safety, security of the most vulnerable, and calmness. We don't like this fear-mongering. So we say, be safe, be calm. This is the latest data. I just updated it. I'm just going to recalculate here so you can actually see how we do this. So the world has 7.7 billion people and growing. And of those people, there's been just over 1 million that have been infected with the coronavirus. I'm going to just recalculate that because that's updated number. So we're just going to get the percentage here. There's 7.7 billion right there. That comes to 0.013% of the total world population has been infected. Tragically, there's been 52,932 deaths to date. And this is updated data. So we're just going to get the percentage here. And that's 0.00068% of the total world population. Please keep those numbers in mind as we go through the data. Please keep those in mind. We believe that's pretty insignificant impact worldwide. Very insignificant. The data showing that. This is an opinion. We're looking at the data. It's 52,000, almost 53,000 have died, which is 0.0068%. Italy. And now we're going to focus on Italy because apparently they weren't having all these draconian measures of China and Korea. That they were late in the game, and so they're viewed as one of the epicenters of the virus and what it can do, one of the worst case scenarios. So we're going to look at Italy. This is updated data. I'm going to recalculate it. So we got 115,242 that have been infected. 115,242. And we're going to take the percentage. There's 60.49 million Italians. That comes to 0.19% of the total Italian population. 13,915 have died in Italy, tragically. So we're going to take the percentage there. That comes to 0.023%. I'm just updating these numbers because these were last minute updates. So that's 0.023% of the total Italian population, Italy. Of those affected, as I said, 0.19% of the total population. We view that in the big scheme of things, in terms of the total population, as fairly insignificant. There's been another number of studies that have come out. But before I get, this is what's happening in Italy now. It really started to take up at the beginning of March. And now it's on the decline. You see that there. This is as of March 30th, beginning of April. It's starting to, the bell curve is coming down. Remember, it's only 1.9% of the total population. And those who have died are 0.023%. And this is important data here. This is from a report, International Journal of Infectious Diseases, from 2013 to 2017 in Italy. 1.4 million Italians died of flu-like illnesses. 1.4 million from 2013 to 2017, a 4-year span. 1.4 million Italians died of flu-like symptoms. That is a fact. And there's an excerpt from the report. A total of 1,457,038 and 38 deaths were registered in Italy during the study period 2013 to 2017. So this allows us to put these numbers into context. We're talking about almost 14,000 have died, yet over this period, just 4 years, 1.4 million died. And this is a study here I have up. It says only 12% of the COVID-19 deaths in Italy were directly due to COVID-19. 88% of the deaths were attributed to other illnesses. So that means 12% of this 13,900 are attributed to COVID-19. So we're talking around 1,500 people now that have died directly of the virus. Here's another report which was in Bloomberg. This report says that 99% of the cases in Italy, 99% of them, were not directly attributable to the virus. The deaths, that is. Only about 1% of the deaths in Italy were attributed directly to the virus. Actually, that's the number of cases. I'm going to show it right here. We can go down here and see the numbers. And there's the chart there. Italian coronavirus deaths by prior illnesses, 0.8%, no other illness. So that's what they're saying. 1%, less than 1%. The people who died in Italy did not have a prior illness. Over 25% had another significant illness prior to getting the virus. 25.6% had 2 other major illnesses. And 48.5% of those who died in Italy had 3 or more significant illnesses. So 99% of the deaths in Italy had prior illnesses. Only 12% of the deaths died directly of the virus. So we're saying Italy is being exaggerated. The fear, looking at Italy, it's just fear-mongering what's going on. We're not saying don't social distance, don't take precautions, don't protect the most vulnerable. We're not saying that. But this fear-mongering is excessive. Look at the data. Right there. And I'm going to read some of this here. According to the latest data on Italian National Health Institute, ISS, the average age of the positively tested diseased in Italy is currently 81 years old. 10% of the deceased are over 90 years old. 90% of those who died in Italy from the virus or during this period are over 70 years old. 80% of the deceased had suffered from 2 or more chronic diseases. 50% of the disease had suffered from 3 or more chronic diseases, as I showed. The chronic diseases included cardiovascular problems, diabetes, respiratory problems, and cancer. Less than 1% of the deceased in Italy were healthy persons without any pre-existing chronic diseases. Only 30% of the deceased are women. And this is interesting here. Northern Italy, where a lot of the deaths have come from, has one of the oldest populations and the worst air quality in Europe, which had already led to an increased number of respiratory diseases and deaths in the past, and is likely an additional risk factor in the current epidemic. So what we're saying at NCA, what these political and media puppets are doing is it's just fear-mongering. They're creating a frenzy of fear. And that it's completely disproportionate to the data, the impact of the data. Without question. And what they're doing now is taking your freedoms away. They're suspending democracy in places like Canada. We got people like Justin Trudeau who have been given unlimited, unchecked spending powers thank you to the establishment parties and the fake mainstream media. And here's this data here. Italy has the second oldest population in the world. 22.8% are 65 plus. Canada's not even on this list. It's around 30 in the world. Remember that. This is contributing to the deaths in Italy. The top 50 countries with the largest percentage of older adults. Italy, number 2. This is the International Journal of Infectious Diseases, IJIDO.online.com. So you can go look it up yourself, but it talks about the study of 1.5 million Italians dying of flu-like symptoms between 2013 and 2017. This is a Swiss doctor who's been outspoken. And he was providing all the numbers on Italy that I was mentioning. He thinks, like NCA, that these political and media puppets, their responses are completely disproportionate to the impact of the virus. They're creating unnecessary fear. And this is a Swedish doctor who spoke out. And I'm going to go to the end of it because he had a good message there. And this is Sweden's former chief epidemiologist, Johan Geikasek. He says, quote, "Try not to score cheap political points by demonstrating clear leadership and giving the impression that you're doing something. Keep a cool head, despite all of us being aware that the infection can be fatal to some people. Death is part of life, a fact that every society has understood since the beginning of humanity. Don't kill more people by refusing to prioritize. Don't kill off an entire global economy, resulting in far greater suffering and far more deaths just because of a demand for a totalitarian leadership. Shutting down society solves none of the problems we are facing. It just exacerbates them." End quote. He's bang on the mark. That Swedish former chief epidemiologist. Epidemiologist is someone who investigates the causes of diseases. But he's bang on the mark. This fear-mongering is causing more hardship, more stress, more deaths. It's unnecessary. NCA supports a simultaneous approach. Put all our resources in protecting the most vulnerable, and they tend to be elderly people, while allow the rest of society to get on, encourage social distancing and other measures, washing hands, etc., that have been going on. But don't shut down the rest of society. This is completely disproportionate. It's creating totalitarian dictates. Democracy's been shut down in Canada. We have a government, Trudeau, who's been given unlimited spending of your money. And the fear-mongering coming out of the media is over the top. And this is one example right here. This Diane Francis, she's an absolute nutcase. This is in the Financial Post, which is connected to the National Post, which we just call the National Rag. It's part of the Post Media Network. But she's saying to beat this coronavirus, we must sacrifice our freedoms. That's how bad it's coming. These establishment political media types are infringing on your freedom. They're pushing fear. Unbelievable. And then they put South Korea and China, Singapore on a pedestal. And here's Canada. And this is as of right now. Canada has 37.59 million people. Of those people, 11,283 are infected. That's 0.03% of the total population. To date, 173 have died of the virus. That's 0.00046% of the total Canadian population. And there's the graph, and this is as right at the end of March here, but you can see how it's going to go. It's going to go a little higher, and then the bell's going to come down. We got about a 2 to 3 week window there. But this is pure fear-mongering in Canada and across the West and around the world. These establishment, political, and media puppets are just promoting excessive fear. They're causing more deaths. They're causing tremendous stress on people who are not allowed to get on with their lives. This is all wrong. This is setting precedents, in our opinion, for global world order of controlling everyone without question. And keep this number in mind. In 2017, 10.44 million people worldwide died of high blood pressure. And that, in just 1 year, 10.44 million. And if we go back up here, 52,000, almost 53,000 have died of this virus. And a lot of those are people with pre-existing conditions that have died. 0.00068% of the total world population. Let's not get caught up in the fear-mongering. And look at my background. This is a real background, unlike Justin Trudeau, who's using a fake green screen. What else is fake about Justin Trudeau? Let us know. But my background is real, because NCA is real. We don't need to put fake backgrounds up. We're going to shift now. I want to get into C-13 because now you understand the context of Corona, I hope. And this is just one more example of the fear-mongering. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. This is New Zealand, one of the Commonwealth countries, one of our allies. The fear-mongering. We have 102 cases of the virus. So did Italy once. So we're going to lock down New Zealand. This is the reasoning. Unbelievable. Fear-mongering by these establishment political puppets. And this is the Prime Minister of New Zealand. What a whack job. No different than Justin Trudeau and the so-called opposition in Ottawa. Unbelievable. We have 102 cases, 0 deaths, so we're going to lock down New Zealand. I'm going to shift now to C-13. This occurred on March 24th, 2020 in a secret session of limited MPs. We don't know who they were. They weren't disclosed. It was behind the door secret meeting, and they agreed unanimously to give Justin Trudeau 6 months of unlimited spending of your money. Unlimited, unchecked spending of your money. Unanimous. Unbelievable. For 6 months, going to September 30th, 2020. This is unbelievable. It is completely disproportionate to the impact of the virus in Canada and worldwide. It's an attack on democracy in Canada. There is no parliamentary oversight. All those establishment little political puppets in Ottawa, regardless of their color, party name, are all in the same bed. We call it the LibCon establishment. This is a fact. You should be very disturbed by this. This is C-13. I went through it. I read it. I'm going to highlight some of this. But I bet you not even 0.001% of Canadians even bothered to look at C-13. I bet you 98% of Canadians probably don't even know what C-13 is. But we're going to shed light on it today, because that's what these crony politicians in Ottawa all agreed to. And it's impacting you. And it came out in the Fraser Institute. Trudeau gets unlimited spending authority for 6 months. And it goes into the bill. I'm not going to repeat this because I'm going to go into it. And then it talks about these opposition parties saying what's wrong with them. Why would they allow this? But what the Fraser Institute doesn't do, he doesn't talk about the LibCon establishment, which is working in the background, which is directing and dictating. There is no real opposition in Ottawa. They're all part of the LibCon establishment. Establishment politicians come and go. Trudeau's just the current front person. Understand that. The one constant is the LibCon establishment. Directing, dictating. This is what's going on in Canada. NCA is trying to break that entrenched corruption. And we're going to talk about the establishment next week so you understand what we're referring to. But 6 months, unlimited, unchecked spending for Justin Trudeau. Happens to be a minority government, but whether it was minority or majority, it doesn't matter because it's disproportionate to the impact of the virus again. Democracy in Canada has been suspended. This is an attack on the freedom and democracy of Canada, whatever is left of it. It's important to note, this is the readings of C-13, an act respecting certain measures in response to COVID-19, COVID-19 Emergency Response Act. There were 0 amendments. It went through first reading, second reading, committee, report stage, third reading, Senate, first reading, second reading, third reading, royal assent. 0 amendments. 0 amendments to this bill. This is LibCon establishment, without question. Not a single amendment in that process. It was fast-tracked right through. It doesn't matter which opposition is in power. They'd all be doing the same thing. This is the Montreal, the Canada Gazette. They were, every Wednesday, they're supposed to publish updates. And they have a convenient saying here, coronavirus, COVID-19, guidelines for publishing notices in the Canada Gazette. Given the current situation, until further notice, only urgent notices will be published. So there's no accountability. They were supposed to put the numbers in here, what they're spending their money on. But now they don't even have to do that. I'm going to go into the legislation. I want you to know what these crooked establishment parties are up to. So this is in C-13 under public health event of national concern. But before I get into this, the so-called official opposition in that outgoing lifetime career politician Scheer was making a fuss that Trudeau was going to grab power. There was no facts to back up what Scheer was saying. 0 facts. It was just hearsay. And what we realized at NCA, the so-called Conservative Party was creating a distraction, a smokescreen, because they knew they were going to capitulate to unanimous consent. So they were trying to distract people by making up some fictitious narrative of a 20-month power grab. There was nothing like that in C-13. How can you trust that party? We view them as a gangster party. How can you trust them when they're manipulating the Canadian people? How can you trust any of them? There's nothing, not a single fact that supports what that outgoing Scheer said. A lifetime career establishment politician. That's all he is. This is in the C-13 under public health event of national concern. A public health event of national concern. Quote, with the concurrence of the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Health, all money required to do anything in relation to that public event of national concern. Things that may be done in relation to the public health event of national concern include, that's important, the word include. It means it's not exclusive to these, and it's beyond them. Acquiring medical supplies, providing assistance to provinces, territories, etc., providing income support, funding public health related federal programs, covering expenses incurred by federal department agencies. That's only some of them. It's unlimited what Justin could be spending your money on. And this goes on till September 30th, 2020. From March 30th to September 30th, Justin Trudeau can spend whatever he wants. This is an amendments to the Act. The Financial Administration Act. It says here, quote, that is required to be paid in that period in respect of any money borrowed under the authority of this Act or any other act of Parliament. The financial system of Canada, if the minister is of the opinion that borrowing of money is necessary in these circumstances. So the Minister of Finance has unlimited borrowing capabilities. They can just pile on the debt, borrow from the central banks, which you have to pay back. Unlimited. This is what the so-called opposition agreed to. And the borrowing can come under any act of Parliament, any other act of Parliament. And it says here, borrowing in respect of extraordinary circumstances. The minister shall cause to be tabled in each House of Parliament a report on the money borrowed to be borrowed under paragraph within the first 30 days on which the House is sitting. But the House is not sitting. The House is suspended. So the Minister of Finance does not have to report till the House is sitting in 30 days after its first sitting. And when is that going to occur? In the fall? Late fall? 2021? In the meantime, there's no accountability. There's no parliamentary oversight. They can borrow whatever they want. They can spend whatever they want of your money. Please share your comments today, everyone. But what we wanted to do today was show you the fear-mongering. And we think we've done that pretty conclusively through Italy. But then we want to show the disproportion of what's going on in Canada, where our democracy has been suspended. All these establishment parties are in on it. And we have Justin Trudeau with unlimited spending of your money. The debt is already exploding. I'm going to put up a graph here because I want people to know the facts. Just give me a second here. I'm going to put this up. Anyways, there it is there. Just be patient here. What I'm going to show is the debt since 1968. A lot of Canadians are not aware of this. There's the bar chart there. It shows from 1968, almost 98% of the federal debt in total was incurred since then. Around $653 billion by the Conservatives, $229 billion by the Liberals. So this country's been on the financial wrong track for over 50 years. The debt is over $711 billion. Trudeau now can spend, he has emergency package of $82 billion. We don't know where all that money's going, but that's going to push the debt over $800 billion now. They were already going to add about $94 billion before this. So we figure in 4 years, they're going to be over $900 billion. Federal debt, over $900 billion. That means higher debt service payments, higher taxes. less services and benefits for the Canadian people. This is all wrong. This here is the homepage of National Citizens Alliance. If you believe in true, uncontrolled opposition to what's in Ottawa, and oh my God, it's so necessary. It's so necessary. As you can see with C-13, there is no opposition in Ottawa. Period. They're all in bed together. Sign up to National Citizens Alliance. nationalcitizensalliance.ca. Canadians First, anti-globalists. Get involved with taking our country back. And there's a sign-up form on our homepage. Get involved with us, and we can make real difference in our country. And it's very needed, as we all would agree. I want to thank you for joining me. And please share your comments. We look forward to going over them. Stay safe. Stay calm.